Hey, I hear you can't capitalize. You know, this game.
In one of the most unexpected events, the boxing world witnessed two former rivals come together as Terence Crawford paid a surprise visit to Gervonta Davis's training camp, offering tips ahead of Davis's upcoming fight against Jake Paul next month. Crawford, who recently experienced what it's like to move up in weight and face a naturally bigger opponent, one typically 2 or 3 weight classes above him, decided to accept the invitation after Calvin Ford, Davis's coach, reached out to him. As Crawford watched Davis train, he emphasized the importance of speed, shouting from ringside, "Speed is all you've got over him." He reminded Davis that he's lucky not to have to bulk up for this fight. Instead, he advised him to stay fit, quick, and strong if he wanted to win. Whenever Crawford noticed Davis spending too much time in the pocket during sparring, he immediately corrected him, yelling, "You only stay in the pocket after you've felt his." Crawford's main message for Tank was to improve his footwork and focus on fitness rather than trying to add extra weight, warning that gaining mass would only put him at a disadvantage. At this point, Crawford was just as surprised as everyone else when the fight between Davis and Paul was announced. Initially, he didn't support Gervonta Davis at all. However, their relationship seems to have improved recently, which is why he's now offering advice. Still, Crawford believes the weight difference could spell trouble for Davis. Speaking on the Full Send podcast, he said, "Jake is too big for Tank. In reality, he's way too big."
Is just as satisfying to me as a knockout, because at the end of the day, it's all going to go on your record as the same, a win.
Crawford has openly admitted in the past that he wasn't the biggest fan of Davis. However, the 37-year-old refuses to downplay Tank's abilities. He made it clear that while Davis is talented, powerful, and explosive, the size difference could prove to be an insurmountable challenge. Tank is very talented, can punch hard, explosive, but Jake is too big, Crawford said. The 30-year-old Davis recently struggled in his last outing, settling for a majority decision draw against Lamont Roach on March 1 at Brooklyn's Barclays Center. All signs had pointed to a rematch before Davis suddenly agreed to terms for a fight with Paul.
Paul versus Tank Davis, they just announced the fight. What's your instant reaction to that?
I don't know what's going to happen with a 135-pounder going up against a 200-pounder. I think it's not a real fight. Jake just too big. Tank ain't gonna be able to get in from that jab. Jake land one good punch on Tank, it's over with.
As for the former YouTuber turned fringe cruiserweight contender, Jake Paul has faced plenty of criticism over the years for his choice of opponents. However, Terence Crawford doesn't see much point in this matchup. Even so, he admits he'll still tune into Wath's sparring session. If both fighters truly go all out, then not only will Gervonta Davis lose, but he'll lose brutally.
Bruh.
Yeah. Lay it on me, Rolly. What do you think, bro?
I don't even know what to think right now. I don't even know what to think. Maybe Tank has an unreal boxing ability and Jake Paul is really big. But the last time I said somebody was going to be bigger, they weren't that much bigger. But I think in this case, somebody's actually a lot bigger, so.
Did you see the face-off? He's a lot bigger, even though I know it's like 190.
I think Jake, Crawford said when asked who he believed would win. He's just too big. If Jake lands one good punch on Tank, it's over. Jake can punch with that right hand. The dude is big, he's not as slow as people think, and he can punch. It's no secret that Terence Crawford and Gervonta Davis don't have much love for each other. Their rivalry began during the build-up to Crawford's fight with Davis's close friend, Errol Spence Jr., and has only intensified since then. Tensions grew further due to the ongoing friction between Davis and Crawford's ally, Shakur Stevenson. Things reached a boiling point earlier this year when Crawford playfully mocked the WBA lightweight champion for complaining about being excluded from a Ring magazine event in London.
I gotta ask you, Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis. Does Davis have a chance?
Gervonta is a great boxer, but he ain't gonna do.
So you got Jake Paul by knockout, or?
No, I don't got anybody, but I don't think.
He's just too small.
It just. I don't want to.
Davis responded with personal attacks aimed at Crawford and his family, escalating their feud even further. Gervonta insulted Crawford's wife, taking cheap shots at her appearance, a move that prompted Crawford to fire back. The situation became even more controversial when Ryan Booth joined in, leading Crawford to post a forward tweet directed at him. "We do have passports."
A four-season hotel and a $3.4 million penthouse rather than trainer Calvin Ford house as the judge agreed. This is the reason why Tank is not being jailed. Gervonta Davis' lawyer argued that the house was too small for security staff. Additionally,
today, Gervonta Davis was arrested for domestic violence. He's the champion in your division. What do you think about? What's your reaction to that?
I don't know about that. I don't know Tank personally, and I really got nothing to say. I just wish him the best. Everything inside the ring, outside the ring.
Definitely. Shakur fights tomorrow. That's another.
Crawford's reaction to Ryan Booth's comments about his wife was widely praised on social media, with countless fans and fellow boxers slamming Booth for his crass behavior. Just a day earlier, Booth had posted an offensive tweet about Crawford's wife, Isa, asking, "Should a world champion boxer have a fat girlfriend?" The post included a photo of Crawford dressed in a suit, posing with his wife in a dress. Booth has long been infamous for making controversial remarks on his YouTube channel and Twitter account. His account was eventually suspended after the offensive comment about Crawford's wife. It seems to have become a trend among some fighters and online critics to troll Crawford's wife, perhaps out of frustration at being unable to find weaknesses in Crawford himself. Instead, they target his family, seeing his wife as an easy subject for insults.
He's trained hard, he's got to the top of his game, he's made money, he's become a world champion, he's super talented, and he's got that cunt as our girlfriend. He should be doing better than that Terence Bud Crawford. It's all about levels, innit? Carthwatch wouldn't have that nice, attractive girlfriend of his if he was a bin man.
While Gervonta Davis was preparing for his cancelled rematch against Lamont Roach and simultaneously dealing with legal troubles, Terence Crawford chose to respond with restraint, avoiding petty or personal retaliation. Despite Davis's breakup with his ex-girlfriend, the two continued to co-parent their two children. Davis was later arrested and held at the Turner Guilford Night Correctional Center on a $10,000 bond, but has since been released after posting bail.so. How did Crawford react to the news?
He was a bin man, emptying bins in Nottingham. He won't have that at all. Yeah, he'd be struggling. Everything for a reason. George Groves with the Rubik's Cube. I found a woman who really likes Rubik's Cubes as well. Yeah. Everything for a reason. I don't know what the reason is for wearing that. It's not all that, is it? Everything for a reason.
A while ago, TV crews caught up with Terence Crawford to discuss various topics, from Shakur Stevenson's upcoming fight against William Zepeda to Crawford's own blockbuster showdown with Canelo Alvarez, which took place on September 13th in Las Vegas. However, the conversation shifted when the reporter brought up the day's headlines. We've seen today, unfortunately, that Gervonta Davis got into some trouble. What advice would you have for someone like Tank Davis? Playing it safe, the 37-year-old offered a measured and diplomatic response. "Man, I don't know what's going on with him and his personal life. That's on him. I'm minding the business that pays me, that's my business," Crawford said.
Boxing champion Gervonta "Tank" Davis has been arrested and charged with battery in South Florida. Police allege the Baltimore native assaulted his ex-girlfriend during an argument on Father's Day in Doral, Florida. Davis was arrested and booked by Miami Beach police, and a judge set his bond at $10,000.
Despite the fact that Gervonta Davis had previously taken personal shots at both Terence Crawford and his wife, the undefeated four-division world champion refused to stoop to the same level. However, when it comes to boxing, Crawford doesn't hold back in expressing where he believes Davis truly stands in today's landscape. Speaking on the Ring Champs with AK and Barack podcast a few months ago, Bud Crawford shared his thoughts on the Baltimore native's upcoming rematch with Lamont Roach Jr. He praised Roach's impressive performance in their first encounter but expressed doubt that Roach would be able to repeat that level of success.
Davis get in some trouble. What advice would you have for someone like Tank Davis?
And I don't know what's going on with him and his personal life. You know, that's on him. You know, I'm minding the business that pays me. That's my business.
Well, Terence, thank you so much for your time as always on AFL TV. Appreciate it, bro. Thank you.